think initially because they were all urban landscapes, well not all of them by one, and that was an Ellen Bridge series with some figures in foreground when they were rebuilding Ellen Bridge. But I chose that to go with the other landscapes because it sat with the other landscapes, and I thought it sat nicely with the other landscapes tonally and energy wise as well. And well, I did pick those four because of the tonal qualities of them. They were, you know, similar tonal qualities, and they're all sort of painted in quite a direct way as well, you know. So the energy were quite similar amongst them all. I think I took rooftops in Bradford, which this is a sketch of. Rooftops in Bradford because there had so much going on. I quite like busy subject matter, and that was one of the reasons I chose. There's two Bradford rooftops, by the way. There's one with the tower, the clock tower, and then there's this rooftop one. I think it's about 3 foot 6, 4 foot, something like that. And I like the energy in that and the complexity about it all. There's so many shapes which have all had to sort of work together, you know. And I found it quite difficult when I were actually working on it to change and rearrange shapes and marks so that each sort of line and mark were working coherently together, you know what I mean? And I can remember it's got a very narrow skyline to it, a sort of ochre, salmony colour sky as a strong contrast, which I don't often use, so I didn't want it to be too dramatic, you see. But it is quite a contrast with the greens and blues of the buildings and the rooftops, and I quite like that one. And it's got a narrow band of sky, but there's also some life going in there. There's about 3 or 4 dark clouds which helped lock it all together. That's why I like that one so much, you know. And yeah, I just really enjoy it, you know. I just love getting up in the morning and coming down and working in here. I like being surrounded by my work. I'm not saying that my work's good, by the way, but I just love the environment and I love the paint. I love getting stuck into, you know, putting some paint on a canvas or onto a board and seeing if today I can make something, you know what I mean? I think anybody who's got a bit of drawing ability or painting ability can sit down and sort of copy something, you know, copy a vase or some flowers or something, or even copy a face. But the idea is what I want to do is sit down, and I might start off with a subject, a root subject from a sketch. That's my basis for starting. But then from there it's got to evolve, it's got to develop into something which I haven't done before. You know, making something out of the paint. And I love the smell of it. I just like the tactileness of it, and I just love what you can do with oil so much. You know, if the whole thing goes wrong, you can scrape the lot off and mix it all up on your palette and put it all back on again, and just try and create something else again. And it's such a joy to be doing it, even though you might get, you know, your time where you're on a bit of a downer, you know. But what I do when I'm down and I just can't paint, because there are times when I can't, and I can't fathom out. I just can't paint. I'll maybe get charcoals out and do some charcoal drawing. If I can't do that, then I'll do some sculpture work. I've got to create. I come here to create and make things, you know. I just love it. They always seem to follow, in a sense, the idea when I'm painting. My sculptures seem to follow a similar idea, but they're made of, instead of being paint, it's wood or paper mache or something like that. If you look at my sculptures are very similar to my head, what I'm trying to work on, but I didn't set out to make them that way. So there's something maybe unconsciously going on with how I'm creating that, you know. It's just stuck in me there, you know. Well, most times, unless I'm working on something which isn't finished, then I'll come in and continue working on that piece. But when it's a new thing, yeah, I find that very, very difficult, because I'm going into an area which I don't know, you see. Painting I know maybe, but how to start a new painting is is an adventure every day. Every time I pick up a pen to draw something or paint on a blank canvas, I just don't. I say to myself, how am I going to tackle this today? What am I going to do now? You know, how do I go about it? I mean, there's trees. This summer I've been trying to paint trees and work out. Flipping heck, it's so difficult to paint a tree in a different way, in a real way, in the way that I want to respond to a tree. I don't know where to start, and it goes like that. With everything I'm going to paint, it's new, it's brand new every time. So don't mix it thoroughly, just mix it like that. Quite thick, it adds another dimension of expressiveness to it, doesn't it? You know, it creates another line with shadow in the marks. That'll do. Rub on that. Yeah. It's going off this white. It's a bit tight now. I quite like it like that. Don't want it too soft. Well, the best part's painting. I mean, just getting up and going to the studio every day. A difficult part can be, I think, for me to know when it's finished. I think to know when it is done, and that. For me, that only comes about when I put the, I don't know, when I make a mark, I put a tone of paint on, and it just sings within me, and I can sit back and look at it and think, well, yeah, that's finished now. That's a great joy. The best part of being about painting is getting up and doing it, because you love it, you enjoy it. You know, that's the reason for getting up. I think Auerbach said it. So there's no other reason to get up in the morning if you're not going to paint. You know, terrific. When I first started out, in my little house I had in Elland, I was influenced a great deal by Cannaveggio. I liked his light and dark, his chiaroscuro techniques, and tried to put those into practice. There were people like Rubens for flesh and the figure. Gainsborough had any influence on me. Turner for a while. And then coming up to 20th century, there was de Kooning. He had a massive influence on me. There was a fluidity about his work and a spontaneity about his work that I just loved. I just look at these paintings and think, well, I want to paint like that out. You know, I want to paint. Just want to be a painter. And then there was Sickert. Sickert had a big influence on me. I started seriously in 1976, so it's 40 odd year. I painted before that, but I only dabbled. It wasn't serious. But in 1976, I decided that I'm going to be a painter. That's all I want to paint, and that was it. And I've been painting ever since. Yeah. I think it's obvious that I like Auerbach. I like Kossoff's work. I love Vincent's work. It is a big inspiration as well, Vincent. I keep looking at Vincent's work. Even though my love for these guys is quite considerable, I think. I've learnt a lot from them, but I've got to go and continue to develop and explore new avenues myself. Obviously, I think influences do rub off on you. You know, they do rub off on you, and they might show in your work, and that's not a bad thing, is it? You know, I think Leon Kossoff said something like, when people look at paintings today, don't quote me because I might be wrong. He said something like, when people look at paintings today, they look too much at the influences behind the paintings, and not for actually what is there, you know. And I think he's right. I go around with a lot of painters and go to galleries and stuff, and you know, you can hear them saying, oh, this looks very much like Bomberg, or it looks very much like Auerbach, but it doesn't matter. The painting's profound on its own. If it can stand on its own, then it's a good piece of, it's okay, isn't it? Good piece of work.